Hi, Scorpio. This is Lee from Fresh Astrology. We are live here on a rooftop next to the ocean. It's very windy, but I thought it'd be fun to be outside rather than inside the hotel. I usually try to think a lot about atmosphere when I'm doing these, even if it's just in my own home and kind of the same old backdrop. I do a lot that may not be apparent behind the scenes to make sure it's got a certain atmosphere. And I just didn't want to do it inside the hotel. So we're dealing with some, ambient wind and noise and commotion, but I am personally happier. Hi from Italy. Thank you for saying hello. I enjoy being outside. I've got a lot of earth in my chart and I just like, being in the open air here. And it's a beautiful day. I'm really enjoying the climate here. So anyway, let's look at September for Scorpio. Okay, so we have the sun as usual in September. We start the month with the sun in Virgo, and then it moves on into Libra about the third week. So for the final week, it's in Libra. And there's a lot of activity between, Leo in your chart, which is at the top of your chart where you have your career zone, and then the 11th house where you're looking out at your future and kind of growing your world. There's a spotlight on future. And then Libra hits your 12th house, which is where you're regenerating, maybe going away on a little trip, like a little retreat, or just feeling the need to go inward a little bit and take a break. It's very normal. It's just a part of your year where you do that. Then you are hosting Jupiter, which, is interesting for you. A lot should have been happening for you. It may be surprising stuff that you didn't expect or even really want. But overall is lucky. The changes are lucky. So you've got... is it Snezana? I don't know if that's like just your screen name, so that may not be your first name. And I don't know if I'm pronouncing any of this right, but you're saying you have Libra Sun, Scorpio Moon, and Sagittarius Ascendant. So Sagittarius Ascendant will be the most accurate if they got your birth time right, but the Moon is more where you are emotionally. So what I'm saying about needing a little time to rest, you may be feeling that later in the month. But you, and then with your moon, for example, you're hosting Jupiter on your moon, and then later in the month you'll have Venus coming in. And so this is an expansion of your emotional world, and it just depends on what's going on in your life. At the beginning of the month, Jupiter will be, which is in your sign with your moon, opposing the moon in Taurus, which is, symbolically saying something about your relationship with others. So this may be a time, especially with that 12th house energy going on, a time of processing old emotions. And so when I'm coaching people, this is the sort of the way to look at it. You need to be aware and mindful of how you're dealing with your emotions and what you're doing with them. Now, if there's you've got to pay attention to your emotions, because if you ignore them, bad stuff happens. So you've got to be aware of what you're feeling. And within that awareness, it's really important to understand, am I going over the same thing over and over again? Time after, like every other day, I'm mourning the loss of a relationship that was 5 years ago, or I'm feeling shame and heartache around the way I behaved, or something that happened in the past. Am I just walking around with this like baggage and shame? If it's something like that, use this opportunity with Jupiter here to maybe get help. Maybe coaching, maybe therapy, maybe some self-help books. Use some extra tools to take care of this once and for all if you're just carrying around old stuff. Now, sometimes we've had something traumatic happen in our past that we've never processed correctly. And so it's just been sitting there in the dark in our mind, unlooked at, unexamined. And it needs to be examined to move it out into the sunlight. And so I think as you know, to prepare for when the sun really does come in here into Scorpio later in October, to begin to notice what needs to come out. Like just it's like you're digging into like just the yuck, the dark emotions that we rarely want to feel, we rarely want to examine, but this may be a good time to reach in there, bring it up into the light of day. The sun will be coming in. You've got some extra assistance here. So no matter if, you know, Scorpio is your rising, your sun, your moon, it's a good time to just move some of this negative stuff out while Jupiter is here. It's a very fortuitous time to be able to do that and to feel like you can have, heavy emotions. Oh, hi, Atlanta. I grew up in Atlanta. Nice to see you there, Hotlanta. So no matter how you are represented by Scorpio, whether it's your sun, your rising, or your moon, it's a very fortuitous time to feel like you can turn over a new leaf or get a new lease on life, as we say. And to do that, you can't fully do that until you do something to close out the past. So you're kind of going to be working on both those things simultaneously. And it's a once in a 12-year beautiful gift to get both Venus and Jupiter in your sign together, as you'll have at the end of the month. So I think this is, you know, symbolic of maybe a new relationship energy, or maybe as a result of a closing down of a relationship, you personally can take on a new life. And so there is this sense of being reborn for you guys. And there may have been like the breakup of a relationship, or maybe there's the beginning of a relationship. It depends on the Scorpio out there. But even if it's from some trauma and some breakup, it's time to start afresh. And hosting Jupiter helps you do that. And then Venus comes in. So you do have help to move and transition into this new world that you're starting for yourself. And it looks like you're in a long phase of really learning a lot of new kind of life skills. They're basic life skills. So it's not as much like some of you may just coincidentally be in a grad program, getting your PhD or a master's or something. But really the task of a Scorpio right now, you're in a long-term phase of learning some new life skills. And a lot of it revolves around communication and the way your mind works. You're retooling mind and the way you communicate. But it's a lucky phase. And, you know, some of that involves throwing out the relationships that are toxic. So there's some of that too. But, you know, you want to be careful that you're not throwing the baby out with the bathwater is another saying. If you're not from the United States, I don't know if that's a saying you're familiar with, but you don't want to chop off a relationship just because you're going through a little rocky phase or it's not entirely clear or pleasant. You got to, you know, what's truly toxic, what isn't. You've kind of been in the process of figuring that out, a lot of you. But I would just say have faith in life right now because you do have Jupiter in your sign. I think a lot of you are going to be reinventing through what you do for a living because you do, you know, toward the end of the year, you're going to be hosting Jupiter in your second house. So I think more money will come in. I think a lot of you are reinventing through your career. This is also highlighted by the fact that the North Node is up at the top of your chart. Some of you will also be thinking about moving in the next few weeks or months. So good luck with that. The main thing I want to say to you guys is just to have faith in life right now. And that's not always easy. Surprisingly, Scorpio, because you're a water sign and you've got this depth available to you emotionally and also just kind of spiritually too, I think if you know that you need to have a little faith in life, I think you can kind of just flip a switch and go there. Whereas, you know, like there's some air signs, there's some other signs where it's harder for them to do this. And I think you can, if you just know that's what you need to do, you can just be like, okay, I'm going to turn that switch. That's my strategy. And I'm going to have faith in life. And I think that's actually an adjustment you guys can make. So I'm telling you, have some faith in life right now. You're going to some good places. It's just there is a lot of change in who you surround yourself with and maybe in a love relationship. But have faith. All right. Take care, guys.